Hey guys, Warren Buffett went from nothing to being, at one point, the richest man in the entire world. And he probably still would be, except that he's given away a lot of his money at this point. He gives some advice that I think is the best advice I've ever heard for musicians. Now, Warren didn't specifically give this advice for musicians, but when I heard it, I was blown away and thought, that is the best advice I've ever heard in my life for myself. And probably if I would have listened to this advice better, I wouldn't have made what I feel like is probably the biggest career mistake I've made so far. So, what that advice is when Warren Buffett has someone new come to work for him, he has them come into his office and write down a list of the 20 things that they want to accomplish in life and rank them in order, from 1 being the most important and 20 being the least important. So the 20 things that they want to accomplish. Then he has them look at that list and says, take the list of the bottom 15. Make that your important list, because those are the things that you need to avoid at all costs. Because those bottom 15 things that you want to accomplish are going to keep you from accomplishing the top 5 things that you really most want to accomplish. So how does this advice apply to me? And probably a good chance to you if you're a musician, because I think musicians and artistic people, we often think alike in this way. I have all kinds of things that I want to do in life, and there are just too many, especially I think when it comes to art and music. So to give you an example, I've recorded songs now in, I think, 6 different languages: Cantonese, Bisaya, Chavacano, Tagalog, Mandarin, and English. Yeah, so 6 different languages. So that in itself already kind of a cool thing. I can speak a bit of a lot of different languages and speak Mandarin and Tagalog quite well. But doing all of that and learning all of these different languages has made me not really that great at any of them, or not really totally fluent in any one of them. Another thing would be musical instruments. I can play a little bit of almost every musical instrument. Harmonica, guitar, bass, drums, piano, this thing I just bought called the Linstrument, the Rolly keyboard, all kinds of different things. And I can produce music. I can record, I can engineer, I can mix, I can master, all of those different things. And as I think those are all great skills to have, doing all of these different things all over the place has really, in some ways, made me a jack of all trades and a master of none. Eddie Van Halen just passed away yesterday. And if you look at Eddie Van Halen, I don't know him personally well enough, or didn't know him personally, to be able to exactly say how he spent all of his time. But it sure seemed like to me that really he just focused on guitar. And yes, I know he knew how to play piano as well and did some engineering and things like that. But there was always that one thing of the guitar. That's what people are going to remember Eddie Van Halen for, is for that ferocious, fierce, fast guitar playing. They're not going to remember Eddie Van Halen for his classical guitar playing, for his engineering skills, for his piano skills, even though he was a good piano player, for his singing, even though he did some singing. But the things that are going to be remembered are his guitar playing. And that is because I think for a long period of time, he really just concentrated on being the greatest guitar player that he possibly could be. And in doing that, he became one of the greatest guitar players of all time. So when you yourself are looking at making music and progressing your own career, really pick something that you want to be your thing, your one thing that you want people to remember you by. And if you can spend even just a few years concentrating on just that one thing, then at some point you can branch off into other things. But it really takes many, many years of concentration on that one thing in order to really accomplish anything great. I also, when I was younger, I won the world championships in juggling, another random thing that I spent many years on. But I spent 6 years when I was a kid only juggling. That's all I did every day I woke up and I knew at least I was going to get in a minimum of 3 hours of juggling practice. And that's all I thought about. And when you're a kid, it's a little bit easier to just have that one kind of crazy thing that you're working on all the time that, you know, you don't have to pay bills or anything like that. But you know, that made me a world champion juggler, having that one thing for 6 years. And then after that, I did lots of other things, worked on comedy and learned how to ride a unicycle and all kinds of things. But for those 6 years, it was majority just how can I be the best juggler that I can be? So look at, you know, what you're doing, and whatever that instrument is that's really important to you, or maybe it's your voice. My friend Sam Mangobat, he was the runner-up on the biggest singing competition in the Philippines. And I was talking to him the other day, and he's, you know, about 500,000 YouTube subscribers now, and his career is really doing well. And I was like, hey Sam, you know, why aren't you like learning to play an instrument? Why, you know, you're very musical, you could be a great instrumentalist as well. And he's like, you know, David, I decided maybe 5, 6 years ago that even though I knew how to play a little bit of piano and things, that really singing was going to be my thing. And I was just going to become the greatest singer that I could possibly become. And he did that. And I think he's one of the greatest singers in the Philippines, one of the greatest male vocalists. So I hope this is helpful advice for you. So this is not my advice. This is Warren Buffett's advice. If you have the time, write down the 20 things that you'd like to accomplish, rank them in order, and avoid the bottom 15 at all costs.